Hey guys, I am JoAnn Johnson, your host, and this is The Tipping Point. You know what? I don't know if I've mentioned to you how much I love this show. I'm pretty sure that I have. I probably do it every Monday and Wednesday, but I love it. I love it. I love it. And I'm so excited that I get to do it. And tonight I have a friend with me and I'm so excited. You guys know her and you love her, Miranda with 96.3 The Block. And she has been around the block for a minute. She's been doing radio. We're going to get to talk about her. I see her smiling in the green room. She's like, no, she did not just say that. Yes, I did, girl. Yes, I did. So, but it's going to be a really good time. If you've got questions, you know that you can put those through to Facebook. We've also got a chat box here in StreamYard. So I'm going to go ahead without further ado and bump her in. Hey, how are you?
Hey, doing good. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Is it Monday?
It is already.
It's a happy day. It's a Monday. So I'm always happy. Let me just put this up on the ticker. So you, my dear friend, are from the block and you have been there for, is it 7.5, almost 8 years now? Maybe even a little more?
That's actually total in radio, but in January will be 5 years with the block. So
very good.
So excited to still be around here.
Yeah. Well, and you're on 7 days a week. I don't know if people, do they realize that that's a lot, 7 days a week?
Right. It is. So, things are a little different now with COVID, for everybody. We're all working it out. But I am in the mornings during Steve Harvey. So from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Saturday. And then our community affairs shows Sunday morning from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. So we have we have been doing a little bit of a break for the Sunday show just so we can push out all COVID information. So, but I want to make sure that our community is safe right now. So.
Well, and that's great. And I love your show. And I've actually been on your show. It's a wonderful program and you do such a good community service. And that was one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about because this whole thing with COVID, it's so imperative that we continue to get the timely information out there. And that's something that you do so well. But before we get into all of that, you're on at 6 a.m. Is that right?
That is, yeah. So with that, you got to get up even earlier.
I was going to say, thank you for staying up with me, my friend, because this must be getting close to your bedtime because that's a very early day.
It is, but I got a sitter this week, so feels good.
I don't know. Let's talk about how you got into radio. Every time I bring a radio personality on, and you guys are so great. And it's funny because you were actually scheduled to be on my other show, Good Mood, Good Food. And then things sort of happened and then it was COVID. And so we're actually in reruns. But just so that everybody knows, we will be going back into the studio and she will be joining us in the kitchen. It's gonna happen. We've been very patient, but that's a great show. That show's on 11 o'clock every Saturday night on Channel 8 and Channel 16. It's also on Star Television it's Roku under Star Television, and it's also on in Channel 57 in Atlanta. But that was my shameless plug. I don't know why I went with all that because we're here to talk about you. We're not here to talk about me. But I just wanted to say that you will be coming on that show. But let's talk about how you got into radio. Is it something, Miranda, that you said, I aspire to do this. I always want to do it. Or did you fall into it? Talk about the journey.
I would say the journey has for sure been a bumpy road. In the beginning, it was really kind of hard to kind of get your feet wet into this industry. And so for me, I was that person that always got in trouble for talking all the time.
Yeah.
So I didn't necessarily know what that looked like. But I mean, seriously, I probably had that all the way through college. In college, I was starting to take more personality tests, trying to figure out what does that look like. So I know that I wanted to be a part of a community where I could kind of get my voice out there, share information, help people. And what does that look like? And so radio was that for me. And so, the true goal is to kind of, be the next Oprah.
Yes, I know.
Yeah,
I remember.
Yeah, and so that's the goal in the long run. So to be able to do maybe radio and TV and possibly some print, that's the true goal. But I just think you always have to take every opportunity that presents itself and not be afraid to walk through an open door.
Absolutely. Every time an opportunity presents itself, right? But you have lofty goals. You're like me, and with you, I have absolutely no doubt that you're going to be able to achieve those goals. You have everything that you need to be able to do that, and your drive is bar none. And it's, what fires you. Talk about your why a little bit, if you could, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I think for sure my why has shifted throughout the years. I don't have my daughter to bring her into this. She's actually with her dad this week, but for sure she is my why. And just being able to show her that you can live out your dreams, that's a huge thing that we talk about in our house. And sometimes you might feel different, being a woman, and then sometimes a woman of color. And so, sometimes all of those different boundaries or obstacles come, but I just that's just one next thing to go over that. And so she for sure is my why. And, just being able to live out your dreams as well.
So how do you, because in our industry, in radio and in TV and everything, there are a lot of no's to what we do. How do you, Miranda, walk through that, and knowing that your daughter is watching? Because we do get a lot of those, don't we?
Yeah, we definitely do. And so I guess in my mind, and maybe that's just says a lot about me. I don't know if I want to say that. Says a lot about me. Even though I get a no, I'm always thinking that it can be flipped into a yes. So even though I hear no, I always like, well, I might have got no right now, but I'm pretty sure I can turn it into a yes. So I guess that's more my motivation and drive to keep going, to kind of prove someone differently.
Because how often is it that they keep going and they go, and then they say, you know what, this fight is too hard. I'm going to give up. I can't do it anymore. And maybe the yes was going to be the next day. Yeah. How often do we hear stuff like that? And we can't walk away. We have to know exactly what we want to do, why we want to do it, how we're going to get there, and just keep pushing.
And I think for me in the beginning, once I figured out probably high school of what I wanted to do, I knew I wanted to do radio, TV. It was like I just kept pushing at both and whatever bit at the time. I had a lot of no's. I mean, for the longest, I had a stack of all of the no's. And I remember my mom was like, throw that away. Like, I just wanted to see how many places I was applying to. So I actually had to shift up my resume come after college, when I wasn't getting anything and bills were starting to be due, and my car insurance needed to be paid, and my laptop clunked out. Like, literally, it was like one thing after another. And it was like, okay, God, what do you want me to do? So I just looked at my resume and I shifted everything. I was like, okay, maybe TV, radio is not for me right now. So I changed my whole resume into recruiting. And so all through college, I recruited for individuals to go out to Disney World. And so that's a true fact. A lot of people don't know that, but I was basically a recruiter for Disney, and I was getting college students to take the internship because I took a 6-month internship while I was at Lander. And so I was like, okay, so I went into recruiting for a long time and was really good at it. And it's funny because when I got into radio, people couldn't really remember how they knew me. And it was because I probably placed you in a job.
Oh, how funny.
Yeah, so I keep that on my resume because I placed over about 2,000 people in the upstate into jobs through different things that I did. So I've worked for Goodwill. I've worked for MAU. I worked for, at the time, it was Career Source. Then I think right now there's this SC Upstate. So the name shifted a couple of times, but I was in business consulting. So I worked with a lot of businesses to help them fill a lot of the positions here in the Upstate. So, I kind of pride myself in that because I could have got discouraged. I mean, I was really good at placing people into work, but that's not what my passion was. I love helping people no matter what it is. But, placing close to 2,000 people into jobs, but knowing that I wanted to leave that to get into radio. And I actually started in gospel radio. So from gospel radio, went into hip hop and R&B.
So this is interesting, Miranda, and I did know this about you. So walk us through then, how did it help you, do you think? Because there's going to be a lot of people that want to do what you do or want to do what I do, whatever, and they might get waylaid along the way. They might have a pit stop, and we know that God will bring us to a certain place and kind of shove us off the road just a little bit for a minute. What did you learn and what did you take with you during recruiting that you feel like was beneficial in radio?
I think for me, it's just so funny. Whatever God has aligned for you is going to be, no matter what it is. And I think the beauty of it is just seeing what the later part looks like. So as I was going through that, please believe I was frustrated. But my bills were getting paid. I was able to pay all of those things that I told you.
Goodness.
But I kept moving forward. So I knew I didn't really understand how I was going to get back to radio. But I promise you, it is hilarious how God works, because all of those connections are people that I connect with. I've done live remotes at places where they understand, they feel comfortable. They're like, she knows what type of people we're looking for. So, so I'm sitting here promoting it. They know because I've worked there, and so it's a little bit easier to kind of connect. And, serving as our community relations director for the block, we're in the community. We're finding different ways that we can plug back or connect with different people or organizations. So I started off in nonprofit. And so, those connections still helps me stay in the know of, and giving resources. So when someone reaches out to radio, sometimes they're like, they're needing help with something. So versus just sending them somewhere, I'm actually knowledgeable in the information that I'm giving them because of the background that I had.
See, that's just it, because when we see that we're taking a pit stop somewhere, it's so easy to say, well, I guess that dream's over. It's dead. That's not for us. That's not what God had. Mm-hmm. But oftentimes he'll pull us over here off the side of the road because he's got to show us some things, line some other things up, line things up over here, shape us, mold us, do all of that. But then bringing you those connections and, all of that stuff. And it's interesting to hear that. And I think people will relate to that, because maybe there's people who are listening right now, Miranda, that are like, I don't know what to do. I kind of walked away from my dream. I'm not sure if I'm ever going to get back there. What am I doing over here? If we could tell them, listen, there's a reason for that. This is about God's timing. He's working it all out. And you're going to take everything that you're learning right now. And when you get to the next season, you'll find out that you're using all of those things.
Right. And I think for sure, just continuing to push forward. I think sometimes we get stagnant in the journey or discouraged, and sometimes you just have to have that tunnel vision. Sometimes now as an adult, I don't possibly share everything of what I'm wanting to do, because not everybody has that same vision that God put on you. So why am I going to share it with someone who's still thinking at this level when I'm already thinking, at the next level?
That's the truth. I'm just sharing this to my personal wall. I'm not ignoring you right now. I'm taking the show from the tipping point because I want other people to hear this. This is actually pretty huge. And we talk about people being frustrated and all of that. And again, it's such a huge topic. I'm sorry for doing that. I haven't done that during a show before. But when God starts to move, I want to make sure that people don't miss it. And you and I have sat and we've had these kind of conversations, and God is in control of everything that we do. He gets the glory for everything that we do. And it is in his timing. It's in his time, in his way, and we have to hang on. And I just feel like right now that there's somebody who's going to watch this and they're looking at you and they're saying, you know what? I want to be in radio. I want to do what she does, or I want to be in the nonprofit world. Talk to those people, Miranda.
I would say continue to do the work, keep moving forward, no matter what it looks like. I think right now, in the times that we're in, even I get a little discouraged. We all get discouraged, but it's what are you going to do with the information that's presented to you? Are you going to stop? Are you going to just, complain about it, sit there in it? You can sit in it. I always say I give myself a time period. Now, I may cry. I'm only going to cry for a period of time. That's what works for me, because I don't want to get stuck in it. Yeah. So I give myself a period of time, and then I keep moving forward. Now, I could get discouraged and say, hey, I'm not where I'm at. I've been in it for 7+ years. But I feel like God puts you where you need to be. That's just me, not trying to preach tonight, but that's just where it is in my walk. And so I just keep moving forward and I just keep praying about it. And I don't really say no to a lot. Unfortunately, with the pandemic, I have to say no because we do have requirements. A lot of our events were canceled.
Right.
So I had to be obedient, but at the same time, I'm just believing that it's going to open up and things are going to get better and events and speaking engagements will come back. And, I just have to believe in it. And, I know it sounds cliche if someone's listening, but I promise you, if I'm telling you that I went from nonprofit to business consulting to recruiting to finally getting back to where those college dollars and some debt came from.
Thank you.
I'm telling you, it can be for you. Whatever is supposed to be for you will always be. I think if we all in this industry could just hold on to that, there would be more like relationships and people working together. It's enough room for all of us.
Now, this is a central theme, Miranda, that we talk about this on this show. It's interesting. Beth Bradley was on. Also, we were talking about something similar because there is enough room for everybody. This whole thing about competing with one another, I mean, to a certain extent, I suppose, yes, but there truly is enough room for everybody to be successful. And just because you see somebody coming up and they're doing well, hit that like button for them, clap when they win, fix their crown. I mean, I talk about cliches, but I mean, seriously, do all of those things and bless people when you feel like you need a blessing, because God will knock your freaking socks off. He is amazing. But if we sit here and we're very resentful and well, I'm not going to help that person because I'm not going to be able to get ahead if I help them, that is so untrue.
Yeah. And I think sometimes, not to say that everybody doesn't want to think that way, but maybe contracts could have you where you can't do but so much, or
That's true.
Yeah, that part. And so those right. And so, so maybe sometimes that can do it, or, different platforms feel the need to maybe be first and whatnot. But I've always felt like I move a little bit differently compared to some. And I feel like whatever your niche is, you keep moving at that. It may feel different, or you may think that you might do it differently than somebody else, but it'll make room for you. And you might even be, the only person that's doing it that certain way. And so, I just say keep going at it. I understand that it's hard, man, right now, because you don't know what it looks like. We all don't know what it looks like.
Exactly.
Exactly. With the pandemic, but
Yeah, and I think too, and like I said, the little girls that look and say, I want to do what they're doing, understanding that it's hard, but understand that you can absolutely do anything that you set your mind to do, and don't let anybody ever tell you that you can't. Take the advice from people that are out there doing it, right? Not the people who aren't doing it. I mean, I hate to be like that, but it's the truth. If someone's sitting there and they're, oh, well, I can do this or I can do that, then go. Do it. I'll support you if you do it. But if you knew what it took behind the scenes, right, it is not easy. Like when we're on the set for Good Mood, people think, oh my gosh, this is a great show, whatever. It is. We're having a freaking hoot. It's awesome. Okay. But when I leave the studio, I'm half dead driving home. My husband's driving and he's basically petting me on the head. He's like, you poor little thing. Because we're shooting 4 episodes in a day. And that's 4 different, DJs that come on with me, 4 different bands, 4 different comedians, makeup, hair, 4 different times, 4 different dishes. I mean, okay, you go ahead and do it. I mean, it's but then what they see is the finished product and like, man, that's so easy. And it's nothing is easy. That's, you have to work for it.
Yeah, everything requires work. And if you really want to do it, you'll stick it out. If not, you'll find something different.
That's it. Well, let's talk a little bit about COVID and how COVID has affected radio, because I read something about the latest Nielsen study, and it was saying that actually radio listeners, that percentage is actually up right now. So is that what you're finding as well?
I think people are trying to go to resources that they feel are reliable, and, people want local. And so, yeah, definitely that connection has increased where, people are more so looking locally versus going somewhere nationally. And so, yeah, that definitely has shifted. I think in the beginning, there was, I think that our company was pretty decent. Probably in the beginning of March, maybe the end of February, they already started equipping us to be able to work from home. Mm-hmm. So that was something that I did feel like was a good transition. It wasn't too much of a shock to be able to. So yeah, so we got, our microphones and all that good stuff, where we're able to do things, from home. Mm-hmm. And still kind of just have that contact with people, even though, we're social distancing.
Yeah. And I mean, it's truly caused us to think way outside of our box and pull from a place that we didn't even know we had skills. Right. And that's true for everybody in every industry. I think everybody needs to be so proud of themselves for how we have maintained and flourished even in many industries this whole time. This has been something unbelievable. I mean, especially like with the Coney County here in South Carolina, I know we've got listeners. Actually, we have listeners all over the world now. This show's being blessed. We have people in Australia and Germany that watch this show now. But we're in South Carolina in the United States, and we had a tornado back in April, which decimated like the area a block away from me in my home. And then we had that. And then we had the COVID pandemic, and people like yourself and myself, we're out here trying to get as much news out as we possibly can. And I'm glad you said, local. And it's a trust factor, Miranda. They trust you, and people are going to, and at least this is what the Nielsen study was saying. They're relying more heavily on radio today than ever before, where we've seen newspaper sales and newspaper reading go down maybe by 92%. That's not been true for radio. They trust you. They feel comfortable and they feel consoled when they hear your voice, and they know that the news that you're going to put out is going to be right, and it helps them.
And I think it helps to know that you're really family when you think about it. I'm here in the upstate, and so I'm experiencing the same thing like you are. And, I need to know what the weather's going to be like as well, just like you do. Now, don't get me wrong. We do talk about, things that kind of hit across the board. Like we just had our Steve Harvey turkey give, and we do that every year. So we partnered up with Steve Harvey and gave out, 100 turkeys for 3 days. So 300 turkeys, and partnering up with him. And so that's something that he's been doing since 2009. And so, we were excited to be a partnership of something like that. And so I think with anything with this pandemic, we've learned that, we're stronger together, and, we all really just need to stay connected.
That's it. And I love that. I love how we can sit here all day and we can say, well, 2020 has been horrible and this is all the bad things that have happened, but really trying to shine a light on what good things have happened. There has also been so many wonderful things that have happened in 2020. And there has been a greater sense of unity across the board between workplaces and between people. And we are all sticking together, and we are understanding that we are in this together. And if we want to get out of it, we have to stay that way.
Mm-hmm. You nailed it.
That's it. That's a show right there. No, I mean, but it's the truth, and I don't want to be told otherwise. I mean, I love everybody, and I know you do too. And I think that's why you're so good at what you do. And that's one of the things, my beautiful friend, that I do adore about you, is that you're so authentic, and you come from a place of love, and you honestly care about your listeners. It's not just a job for you, and that is evident in everything that you do. But when we listen to you on the radio, that really comes through.
Thank you. Don't get me crying now.
Yeah, but it's true. I just love you. But it is true, and I love to see people, and particularly with my foundation. We have the Voice of Hope, which we're getting ready. That's our outreach. And we finally put a name on it, and we finally drilled it home. And it's about women and encouraging women. And I'm going to call you because I want you involved in this, because
let me know.
I will. We're putting our group together, and it's going to take a really special group of women who want to fix the crown. Again, I said that for other women and supporting each other. And you're so perfect for that, because you're the real deal.
Oh, I appreciate you. You're right there too now. A lot of people don't know this is not just for this show, but we've plugged in together. We've had our time taking a lunch just to check on each other. And I I think as women, we need to do more of that, especially our strong women, because a lot of times people are so used to seeing you, got your strong hat on, you got your face on, but we all need a hug now and then.
I mean, if I could reach through and grab you right now, I would. And it's the truth, though. Now, you said something very important, Miranda, because women are strong, and it doesn't mean that we don't need other people. We do. Right. So often, strong women will go through a storm alone for many reasons, but one of which is that people assume they have everybody around them, that they don't need anything. And you didn't realize they were over here like a chihuahua in the corner shaking and crying.
Right.
I mean, it's horrible. And so, and it's always been like that. And so I think that's important too, to kind of put a light on that and let people know through being authentic and just say, yeah, it's great to be strong, but we need people too. But I will tell you something, when you see a strong woman go down, you better worry. I mean, so, there might be a big C behind her. Right. Oh my gosh. Well, talk about, because you're still involved. Now you've got a nonprofit as well, don't you?
Yeah.
Are you able to talk about that a little bit?
I can talk a little bit about that. I have, just like a lot of people, we kind of were moving heavy in the beginning of the year. We're kind of taking a break, but it's called Inspired by Grace Foundation. And so we kind of have two moving parts. It's just like with anybody. It's been just trying to figure out how can we work through some of that during the pandemic, but we do have a piece where we're looking to plug in with our young youth and our young women. But, trying to be in the schools right now is a little difficult just because of the pandemic. So we've kind of had to put that on hold. And then we have a piece where we pack out. And so we're literally blessing people and packing out their cars full of groceries. And so definitely something that we're looking to get back into. But I feel like for me, and, everybody's kind of moved during this pandemic differently. And I've been asking Lord, how do you want me to share that? But for me, I just feel like God wanted me to do a reset. I was the type of person, how I told you, I say yes all the time. I say yes. And I've been kind of doing a reset and just kind of doing a revamp of, and what does vision look like? And not just, personally, but just through some of my organizations. So I've been obedient in that, which is hard. And just kind of just focusing on me as that strong person. I am a single mom. And so multiple hats kind of happen. And, I think the blessing in all of this from working from home is being able to do the work. So work on self and work on those other things that you need to as well.
It's so interesting that you said the word reset, because back in March, when this stuff started going down, I heard so clearly 3 times, and I basically saw it and it said reset.
Wow.
And I heard it 3 times. And I was like, all right, that's what we're about to do. And I found that same thing. This whole thing coming out of 2020, for me, and I don't know about you, but I'm so much more in love with my family, if that's even possible. Yeah. And I want to live with intention.
Yeah.
And I am finding out a better way to balance and truly allowing what I'm going to allow into my life, into my bubble, and what areas of my life I need to maybe slow down, put on hold, get rid of. And any sort of toxicity, it has got to go. Okay. I do not have time for that. And so because we don't know what's going to happen with anything, but we've had an opportunity to reset everything that we think, feel, do, right?
Right. And I think in the beginning, I won't say that I was willingly wanting to do any of that, but it was so many times that I felt like that's what God was wanting me to do. And so I've been able to build broken relationships, with people, and maybe ones in family that I needed to work a little bit harder in. I've been able to do that. And so, I didn't know I was going to be talking about that today, but
you've met me. You know how it goes.
I know. So I always say, well, if it comes out, that's what God wanted me to say. But, I've just been able to do the work. And, a lot of people are like, oh, you just look so refreshed. And I'm like, honey, I've been doing the work. So it may not be, work wise, but I've been able to do things personally and through family. And it's a beautiful thing to be able to do it.
It is a beautiful thing indeed. And I am so glad that you were here with me. And I wish we didn't have to stop. But we will go when the Lord allows, we can get back together again. We'll go do some lunch. We'll do whatever, have our girl time. And I'm going to call you because we'll talk about this foundation and what's going on. I'm so glad that you were here, and I thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to you coming back. And I want to hear more about the foundation because I realize you're a little bit on hold right now, but we both know that's not going to be what happens in the future because God's going to redo all of that, and he's going to pull a fire underneath you. And it was waiting for a reason.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for having me. Everybody tuning in. I guess we can tune in on Wednesday for the next one, right?
Yes, because let me put up the little banner and you can stay with me for a second.
Okay.
We have got, let's see, we're going to do the local lookout. So let's see. So Wednesday, Tone Hollywood from 107.3 Jams will be with us. And we have Thursday night, we have a Jazzy Christmas in Seneca, South Carolina, where Jamie Wright will be singing, and it's going to be awesome. We're going to do Christmas carols. You can see on the bottom of the ticker where you can get more information about that. And, you guys I'm sorry. I'm over here doing on my own technology. So if you see me looking to the side, please just overlook it because I don't have a person. Okay. But the Duke Energy. So Duke Energy Festival of Trees. Let me put their information at the bottom. This is hugely important. If you guys would be so kind, please go to duke-energy.com/festival of trees and vote for tree number 2. Why? Because the BNI Golden Corner, which is in Seneca, they were very gracious and they decorated a beautiful Christmas tree. It's tree number 2. And guess what, Miranda?
What?
If they win anything, then the JoAnn Johnson Media Foundation is the recipient of that money. And that's going to help us to help so many other people. It's going to be great. So you guys, please tell everybody sign your cats and your dogs up for email accounts. Really, just vote for tree number 2. I'm kind of begging you. Okay, I'm begging you because there are women whose voices have been silenced, and the voice of hope is looking to elevate and amplify those voices. It will help us get back in the studio for Good Mood, Good Food. It will help us with the tipping point. It will help us with the morning show, Empower Your Body, Empower Your Mind. But primarily, that will help us to bring a larger voice, a louder voice to women who have had their voices silenced. We need you to continue to do what we do. And make sure that you guys listen to Miranda 7 days a week. She's doing a wonderful thing. My friend, I appreciate you so much. And I'm so glad that you were here.
I'm so glad to be here. And guys, if for short, we want to follow you. You didn't say your handle. What's your social media handle?
JoAnn Johnson Media on Facebook, and then the Tipping Point /Upstate. And then we have a group, the Tipping Point /SC. But yes, make sure that you're liking and sharing the Tipping Point. We're reaching tens and tens and tens of thousands of people every single day. Now, we started in South Carolina, but then it went across the United States, but now it's becoming more worldwide. We have people who are watching from all over the place, and we're bringing entertainers on from all over the country. We have game changers and entertainers, people who are really out there making a difference. And if you know of somebody who would make a great guest, please go to JoAnn Johnson. Let me put this up. So instead of saying it, I'm going to go ahead and put it back up here for a minute. I usually put it at the beginning of the show, Miranda, but I'm going to let it run on the ticker just for a second. And you want to go to programming, the number 4, JoAnn Johnson, INC@gmail. Let us know if there's a person who would make her an incredible guest for the show. And also, if you want to partner with us, you want to be a part of what we're doing, we have all kinds of great, affordable advertising packages. So look us up, help to get the word out. Miranda, my friend, it's been great to see you. I am going to head out. I'm going to put up a little thank you to our sponsors. I will see you soon, my friend. Have a great day. Bye. You guys, thank you so much for watching the show. Thank you for being a part of what we do. We love you. We adore you. Please make sure you vote for tree number 2. Okay. And we'll see you on Wednesday.